Hi, this is Team 3's presentation. Our group includes Gildner, Maravilla, and myself, Lenon. And the business idea that we've explored this semester and will be pitching to you tonight is called E-Waste Education. It's a summer program with the dual mission of diverting electronic waste, or e-waste, from landfills and teaching students about computer hardware and environmental sustainability. Students in the program will learn about those two topics and gain in-depth hands-on experience by building refurbished computers out of usable electronic waste. Before I go into the specifics of our startup, it's important to first frame the issue of electronic waste. The accumulation of e-waste has been a growing concern, and through our presentation tonight, we hope to illustrate how our program will take steps towards tackling this global issue. We'll then go through the details of the program's financials, specifically around how much it will cost to launch and operate the program. And later in our presentation, we'll give you a prototype in the form of a program schedule to help you guys visualize how your contributions will assist in achieving the program's mission. The program's objective is twofold: diverting e-waste and providing a platform for students to learn about sustainability and computer hardware design. Diverting e-waste is important because there are 50 million tons of e-waste produced annually, but the EPA estimates that only 15 to 20% of this is recycled. With electronic devices becoming obsolete much more quickly today, it proves that there's a huge disconnect between the amount of waste produced annually versus what can go back into the system. With this in mind, we came up with the idea for e-waste education. We would collect usable electronic waste and refurbish computers for simple uses. The program would provide an educational platform for junior high and high school students around climate change, give them a place to build friendships with other like-minded individuals, and gain hands-on experience. Participants would refurbish computers for simple softwares, internet-only uses at local community computer labs. Students accepted into the program would be taught by staff who have working experience in designing computer hardware or have worked in the e-waste management industry. The revenues would come mainly from the applicant registration and tuition fees. And we first thought that operating at a university or high school campus would be ideal. However, for our first pivot, we decided to operate out of a school bus, incorporating the collection of electronic waste and the delivery of the refurbished products within one simple process. It creates a unique experience for participants by having this large biofuel bus as a type of home base for this type of learning. The e-waste education's focus on hands-on learning gives students a fun and social environment. Students can make new friends who are also interested in technology and computers, and can also relieve the pressure some kids might feel from their parents who want them to be productive during the summer. Since there's a very niche market for this type of summer school, we recognize the need for further revenue in order to cover the cost of running the program. This observation brought us to another significant pivot in our business model, which was to have a multi-sided business model. Having a multi-sided platform allowed us to add a sponsor customer segment set up as a nonprofit organization. This would generate more revenue by allowing us to accept donations from the general public and other philanthropists. We would be targeting people who understand the growing e-waste crisis, value education initiatives, and are driven to give back to their communities. We felt that a successful former tech entrepreneur who is determined to raise awareness about electronic waste and the carbon footprint being left behind by the tech industry would be an ideal sponsor for this type of program. They have the industry knowledge, the industry connections, and could not only support us financially, but also in an advisory role. Something to highlight from the left side of our business model canvas is the need for local community organizations, such as the YMCA, to be key partners. They would play a critical role in helping attract students into the program and potentially identifying communities or families in need of refurbished computers. While the program would produce e-waste and divert some from landfills. At the end of the day, it's a very minuscule amount. What e-waste to education does, however, is generate and raise the awareness about the issue. By training young people and exposing them to this crisis now, they will be more inclined to affect change in the future, which in the long term is much more important. Now, Kelly will go into more detail about the costs and expenses associated about the program.
Thank you for the introduction, Martin. Hello everyone, I'm Kelly and I will be going over the costs and expenses attached to the E-Waste to Education Summer Day Camp. One of the most important things to remember about E-Waste to Education is that we are a service to students and lower income communities in connection with community centers and local YMCAs. As Martin mentioned earlier, those students part of our program will be learning about computer technology and sustainability through hands-on education, while those in lower income communities will benefit from the students' efforts with computers to fulfill basic needs. Therefore, we must keep the cost to both the program and the customers as low as possible while still making a profit. One of the ways we are hoping to do that is with government grants available to small businesses, summer camps, and day camps. Another is through sponsors like you who believe in the importance of what this program can do. There are several parts of determining the needs of a summer day camp. These logistics include real estate, insurance and liabilities, the type of camp, permits, licensing, employees, advertising, food, and a solid business plan, all of which are necessary for success. We have compiled a list of our needs for e-waste to education logistics and determined that some things we are able to take care of ourselves without excess cost to investors. The real estate is a converted school bus. Not only will the students have this space to learn in our program, it is also a means of delivering the finished refurbished products to the decided communities and moving between different community centers to reach the students within the program. The type of camp, a mobile technology and sustainability day camp. It is rather self-explanatory, and I'm sure that Martin has explained our objective clear enough. Employees, interns, and volunteers. As this is a small startup looking to benefit the lower income communities, I do not think we would be able to actually hire a lot of full-time staff. And as founders, we will be involved heavily in all parts of the program. However, there will be a stipend we can offer to our interns and volunteers. As we will have about 40 students in our first year, a small staff is best. Advertising, website flyers at community centers, colleges, secondary and primary schools. Until we have developed a bit more revenue, we will be relying upon the more basic of advertising tools at the lowest cost. This would include the use of free websites and flyers where they can be seen by the students. Food, part of tuition fees. As I'm sure Paige will discuss further when explaining the prototype, there will be snacks and lunch provided. A simple fare that is also healthy and delicious will encourage the students with more proper, healthy eating habits. As you can see, we have made a list of the initial startup costs of our mobile day camp. It includes purchasing of a school bus that will be renovated to fit our needs and that of our students, the adding of biofuel conversion and solar panels, web development for online advertising and the web page itself, general advertising, and the permits necessary. We have also looked into the continuous costs of running and funding e-waste to education. It is a bit of a longer list, and I will spare you the act of reading it from the slide by pointing out the more notable events. As I mentioned earlier, we are making use of biofuel, which costs about 70 cents a gallon compared to the average $3.66. An average school bus holds about 100 gallons and runs for about 4 miles on a full tank. Obviously, this conversion to biofuel means that the cost of petrol will be less of a concern. Parking will be taking place in free designated long-term parking spaces so as to take away some of the worry of where to park and the possibility of parking tickets. The events that we will be holding for sponsors and donors will be held annually or biannually, not only to celebrate those that support the program, but for the students that participate in E-Ways to Education as well. We have several planned activities that include trips to science and tech museums, and that will take our 40 students, which would include delivering the finished product to the community centers. After the first year of initial startup costs, we would expect to see actual growth and revenue within 4 years. We have estimated that the cost of E-Ways to Education to be at $142,000 in 293. The initial tuition that we have set is at $3,200, a little above the average of a day camp. And given the overall need of the type of program that E-Ways to Education provides, we are expecting to be able to take on more than the initial 40 students we have signed up. To shoulder some of the financial burden, we will also be relying upon the government grants that I mentioned earlier, as well as take on any of the work ourselves. For example, we plan on being the ones to renovate a good portion of the bus to help cut the costs. If you look at this next slide, you will see the total estimated costs of the program for our first year, and that we have actually broken through the $100,000 mark in revenue from tuition brought in from the students. As we do not yet have to cover the costs for overhead rental, for real estate or parking, a few of our costs will be eliminated as the program continues. As I have mentioned earlier, the program is likely to start creating more revenue within 4 years from startup, as well encouraging younger generations to take action for the future of technology and sustainability. Thank you for your time. Here is Paige with a prototype of the E-Ways to Education program.
I'm going to talk you through the prototyping of From E-Ways to Education. We've decided in this project that we're going to prototype the summer camp version of E-Ways to Education as opposed to the after-school program version, which we have also explored and considered. And the reason that we decided to prototype a summer camp version of E-Ways to Education is multifaceted. One of the reasons that we chose to explore summer camp prototype is the length. Because it's a shorter program, it's only 6 weeks as opposed to a full year after school program, it gives us a smaller time frame to see if what we're actually teaching is beneficial to the students, if the users are actually enjoying the product that we're offering them, and to make any changes that are necessary to the program without having it stretch over the duration of a year. So exploring a 6-week prototype offers us a lot of insight into the program to see if what we're doing is actually working and if the user and the customer segment are actually benefiting from it. Before we could go into the full prototype of E-Ways to Education, the summer camp version, we wanted to better understand our customer segment. We did this 2 ways. One way that we worked to better understand our customer segment was by creating and distributing an online survey to a variety of students. The students that took and completed this survey ranged from 4th grade all the way to high school. Having such a wide range of students take our survey really showed us what high school students want from a program now and what the younger students might want from a program in the future. One interesting thing about the students who took our survey is that some had experience in after school and summer camp programs and some didn't. So some really knew what they expected from an after school program or a summer camp, while others weren't so sure. Another tool that we utilized to better understand our customer segment was the empathy map. We created 3 different empathy maps for 3 potential customer segments from E-Ways to Education. The first empathy map that we created was for a student named Dylan. Dylan is what we referred to as the green student. He was more familiar with sustainable thinking and living, he really enjoyed the outdoors, and he was from a family that was quite frugal. Sarah was a second student that we created an empathy map for. Sarah was more interested in technology, was very familiar with smartphones, computers, and mobile applications, and would really enjoy the technological aspects of From E-Ways to Education. The third empathy map that we created was for a persona named Lewis. Lewis is a retired tech entrepreneur who would be a sponsor of the program. Lewis would offer his experience and his insight to make the program better. We've divided up the week-by-week lesson plans into 3 separate sections. Weeks 1 and 2 are weeks of assimilation. So this is where students are getting to know each other, they're making new friends, they're understanding what's expected of them, and they're actually understanding what the morals and mission statement and values of E-Waste Education actually are. Weeks 3 and 4 are weeks of action. This is when the students are really putting what they are learning into action. They are using their hands and their minds to create these upcycled products. And weeks 5 and 6 are weeks of achievement. This is when the students finish up the testing and they get to see these upcycled products being delivered to the low-income communities that need them. One of the most exciting things about our prototype is the fact that it happens in a mobile classroom. This mobile classroom is a renovated, upcycled school bus that runs on biodiesel. This is one of the first steps for us to create a truly sustainable summer camp program. By offering this mobile classroom, when we partner with the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club or whoever else is contracting out our summer camp, we don't even need any space from them because we have our own mobile classroom that creates a closed circuit summer camp program for our user and customer segment. As you're probably familiar with, E-Waste to Education is not just about technology. E-Waste to Education is about changing a lifestyle. So one of the ways that we're trying to get students to sign up for E-Waste to Education, which you'll see in a banner that I've provided, that sort of is meant to attract our user, is we say change your life, change someone else's life. This is the kind of language that we're using in this lesson, in the lesson plans and surrounding this camp to get people interested. We hope this video has given you better insight into the design aspects of From E-Waste to Education. From utilizing the business model canvas to the value proposition canvas, from assessing our cost structure to creating a prototype, we've spent a lot of time developing this concept and idea to make it what it is you see today. Thank you so much for watching.